What was funny? Well, not funny, interesting. The homophobic attack in Clapham. We're looking for the suspect. Any description of the suspect? No description of the suspect. Welcome to yet and wait a minute. Welcome to yet another episode of the Free Speech Podcast. As ever, we're organized. This is a seamless operation. I'm coming to you from Edinburgh. Leo's coming to you from London. Justin's coming to you from deepest, darkest Norwich. The the black silhouette in the top left hand corner, although it's black, isn't just because Leo's Nico's not here. That's just the default silhouette. So that's not from us, right? We did do that racistly. But welcome to the Free Speech Podcast. In the week that Comedy Unleashed, that we've all played and we've all done, was cancelled by Leaf Arches due to Graham Linehan's criminal views, which aren't criminal, and most people have them. But listen, how's everything going, everyone?
Good. Sorry to jump in, Leo. It's like, just to say, if I start sweating, it's not because I was eating ice cream and forgot we were recording this. It's because, did you get that?
What? No.
I watched Graham Linehan last night, and he was on GB News, and he was really sweating. And he goes, "I'm sorry if I'm sweating." He goes, "I forgot I was doing this interview, and I was eating an ice cream and had to sprint home." That's my research has already paid off for this podcast episode. But if I am sweating, it's because I'm in my pod studio. I'm building in my loft, and it's like 1,000 degrees up here.
Man, that attic has come to so many uses. Pod studio, fucking dungeon. What a time to be alive. That's how you multitask.
It's true.
Yeah, the Graham Linehan thing, man. It seems like every year at the Fringe, there's another thing. Like last year it was Sadowitz. This year it's Comedy Unleashed. And you know what's going to happen? Because the venues are getting in trouble. Like Graham Linehan can sue the venue. Comedy Unleashed can sue the venue because he's been cancelled based on his lawful beliefs. So Joanna Cherry threatened to stand with legal action when she was cancelled. So venues are just going to push the cancellation further up the chain. They're just not gonna book people in the first place.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because obviously that's the obvious comparison to make. Is last year Sadowitz, who I would say is from the opposite end of the not the opposite end of the political spectrum, but the people that support Sadowitz don't support Linehan. They're from different teams. But the difference is Sadowitz was cancelled for something he actually did, whereas this is just, we don't want that guy. They don't know what he was going to talk about or anything. So it's preemptive. That's the big difference, isn't it?
It's thought crime.
Yeah, it's based on his tweets, as if he was going to get up on stage and just open a monitor and be like, "Look at my Twitter feed over the last 11 years. What do you think of that?"
That's what Darius does. Oh no, that's Tinder, not Twitter.
I've got to do a show in an hour. I haven't even written it. I'm just gonna go chat shit.
Oh, that's the first one.
Yeah, I've done no flyering, no nothing, and it's like basically sold out. It's going to be a lot of disappointed people. But you were saying, the venues are going to push up the thing. The reality is, the venue, you can't act like, I don't know what Comedy Unleashed. We were shocked that they booked. Like, who did you think the secret guest is? Who's a cancelled comedian? It would have either been Graham Linehan or Dankula or someone like that. Either way, they wouldn't have, recorded.
Maybe.
Yeah, it wouldn't have gone with their views. So they knew this. So this is actually all down to whoever's booking the venue. And
and also, has Linehan what opinions does Linehan have that the other members of Comedy Unleashed don't have? It's not like he's like the black sheep of the group, is it? It's like a uniformly, like they all think what he thinks. He's just like the higher profile guy, isn't it?
I guess he's been a lot more vocal on like Twitter and stuff. Like he's made it as sort of his life to, like try and win this debate about whether a bloke is a woman if he says he's a woman. And like I don't, from my point of view, even though I agree with him, I'm like, why do you care? Why do you care?
Well, no, but you're not the one having to see
you're not the one having to see a cock in a changing room. Like, why do you care so much?
I don't even want to see my own cock.
Personally, I think that like if left-wing people want to get their confused fucking pussyish kids and like sterilize them and maim them and cause all sorts of grief to their families. I'm like, man, go nuts, go for your life. I would literally pay for that to happen. So like, why? Who am I to stop it? You know what I mean? You want to take yourselves out of the gene pool? Go for your life.
You've come round to my way of thinking, and apparently what that is I didn't know it. We're accelerationists. Like, let them go. Like, well, it's true. Let them do what they want. This, like you said, look, it's not my kids. I'm not gonna fucking no, my kids. We're not gonna send our kids. But if you want to send your kids, then we're gonna see in 10 years you'll either have a happy, well-adjusted kid.
Yeah, but the kids are the victims in that scenario. That's the only issue with that.
Well, this is the thing. But at which point do you say, "Oh, we've got to like"? You know what I mean? It's not my kids. Let them do don't come from my family. I'll protect my family. You do what you think's best for your family.
Fucking
So
Cobra Tate over it.
But this is the difference though, right? I think that, but they don't think that for my kids. They think actually we know what's best for your kids and we want to put our views on your kids. So that's where the actual line comes in.
But that's sort of getting off the point that what has he even said anything as extreme as that? He has just said.
Well, actually, we've actually just said what they want us to say. We're in a way we're on their listen. We're on their side. Yeah, we're on their side, but for the wrong reasons.
I mean, I'm just floating. I'm floating above all this like a ghost. But no, I just think that it's just the hypocrisy for me. Like, I don't really. If you take the issue out of it, whether he was talking about trans rights, whether he's cancelled for what, just take the issue out of it. The hypocrisy of people that were like up in arms about Sadowitz, but like happy for this to have taken place because it's not their team. That's the bit I don't understand. I just think it's so fucking childish to think that way. Not childish, probably simplistic or one-eyed, isn't it? To think, oh well, if something bad is happening to one of them, it's fine. But that can happen to anyone by that metric.
Yeah,
because
like,
do you know what I mean?
Joe Caulfield, she tweeted some wanky tweet with her like doing a fist and all this sort of stuff, being all like, oh, "I'm so proud to be a resident of Leith," you know, because they're cancelling Graham Linehan and all this. And it's like, man, how certain are you that you're always going to be on the right side of approved opinion? You know what I mean?
Well,
look Graham Linehan, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, was the perfect lefty. Was going out and arguing with people like me. J.K. Rowling, like 5 years ago, the perfect lefty. Like, you know, argue with all the right-wing people. And then all of a sudden they're Hitler because, like, they think that, you know, if you've got a cock, you're not a woman.
Yeah, but not even that, though. Joe Caulfield, on the next day, they just pulled up a tweet that basically, it was that you could never be a woman, you could never understand. Maybe it wasn't referring to, like, a trans woman, but it's the essence of it is transphobic, right? Just like you said. And cancel culture, you're never going to be perfect. It will swing back the other way, or you will... What cracks me up is... Graham Linehan's the perfect example. Like you said, a few years ago, he was like front row and center of cancel culture. Then he got humbled for his views, and it will happen. You can never be perfect because there's never enough for them. They have to keep on finding a new fight.
It's like the zeitgeist moved on. I mean, at the time, you could have said, if he was like, you might have said at the time, "Oh, this guy's a fucking white knight," being all feminist, and then it moves on that feminism is then eclipsed or trumped by the trans rights. This is the thing. It's not always black and white, zero sum binary thing. Binary, you know what I mean? It's not even like this issue always trumps that issue. It's now getting to because the progressive people, the cultural Marxism is always nebulous and shifting. And then like the sort of tide goes out and then it's sort of like, what you're a feminist? Oh yeah, well, what are the cost of trans people? Do you know what I mean? It starts getting like there's a sort of currency to it all that I'm not privy to. It's like a fucking stock exchange of what's more important or carries more weight than what other issue.
But you know what it is, right? I think some people, and this is kind of Machiavellian, right? Some people have they're like, these are my morals. I won't whatever it is. So I was doing the interview yesterday with the Times, and there was some left woman on, and I left them, they're non-binary, and they were like, he should be cancelled for these. I said, yeah, but he hasn't said anything illegal, and I would be arguing the same point if someone said we're not going to platform a trans people because they're pro-trans. But the thing is, people have morals. But what people don't understand about this whole left is you think it's like, it's just been created and it's there are driving factors clever people behind this who are programming this and setting it into action. So things that you think like, oh, Black Lives Matter, just as an example, is just like a slogan. Then you later on find out, hold on a second, Black Lives Matter doesn't mean, oh, Black Lives Matter. It's actually an organization that's making
Company.
money. It's a company, but you don't understand that. So this thing, like, I think where the right go wrong from my eye is that they're firm on their morals, right? They're like, this is it, we think this is this, we believe in the family. Whereas the left, they're all hypocrites. That's the main thing. They'll literally look you in the eye one day, tell you one thing, the next day tell you the exact same. Something will do someone on their side, and they say that's fine when they do it, and they won't acknowledge it. So they're
But
not playing
nobody,
fair.
nobody
It's
on the
not left
Comedy
wing at
Unleashed,
all.
nobody on the Comedy Unleashed side is like I mean, a lot of people behind Comedy Unleashed, like Andrew Doyle, for example, he's left wing, and they do stand up for principles, and they don't approve of approve of people on the left being cancelled either. So it's not just
Yeah,
like
that's what
people
I'm.
on the right.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like
All right,
they've
I
got.
zoned out for a bit.
Yeah. What I'm
Oh
saying,
yeah,
yeah, that's the thing.
this
It's
is
not.
like when we had an argument for about 45 minutes and we were both arguing the same point.
But that's the thing. They're not left wing. It's not that, because it's like that. Unless you believe in sort of like an absolute source, like a sort of religious text or something, even good and bad is subjective. Like there's things that we all agree are good, but there are things like, if you're left wing, you think that like socialism is good, and if you're
Yeah.
right wing, you think that capital. So they're not left wing. This is more about. And
Yeah,
I've said this
a left wing person will genuinely say that it's good to sort of steal from one person to buy another person something, like, because that's sharing the wealth or making sure that person's got stuff. Whereas like from a sort of core moral principle point of view, stealing from somebody to give to someone else that's theft.
Yeah, exactly. But then, yeah, exactly,
I like Robin
exactly.
Hood.
But I was going to say, I said this.
Steal from the poor and give to the rich.
Well,
When
actually,
I was
that is how
growing
it
up, that's
works.
the thing about Robin Hood. The sheriff of Nottingham, the tax man, was the fucking baddie. You know what I mean? And like, then Jimmy Carr is evading tax, and all of a sudden everyone's like sucking the tax man off. I'm like, what the fuck has happened to us? It's insane.
Also, you got pricks like Marcus Rashford, who paid himself like it was something like nearly £1 million director loan. So obviously it's a loan, you know what I mean? It doesn't have the same tax thing as if getting paid as an employee. And Gary Lineker, who got taken to court for like £5 million by HMRC, and like he says, "Oh, I'm not an employee of the BBC, so I don't need to pay all this tax." And it's like, man, then you're hassling the government, being like, when do you give the school kids free school meals and stuff? It's like, man, if you paid your fucking tax, they could. You know what I mean? There's such a disjoint in society now between like what people say and what people do, and it's like you can be a total tax dodging prick, and like, but if you tweet, "Oh, the government's bad, they should give more stuff to people," then you're a good person.
But if the mob thinks that you have a sort of propensity to lick their boots, you're in. That's what I'm saying. It's not left, it's not right, it's not Sadowitz, it's not... Linehan's just not in the gang. And what is it that... And Sadowitz isn't in the gang either, but because he's sort of like... I don't know, like a less successful outside. I don't understand the difference. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here going, "Oh, let's build a time machine and go back and let's cancel every." I'm glad.
That'd be cool.
That time machine would be. Would you go back and kill Hitler?
No, you're fucking mad. I'd go back to like the 70s and just bang loads of women. Give a shit about Hitler.
Just the year before AIDS broke.
You go back to the era of hairy snizzes.
Well, I don't know. I'd go to the 80s. I'd just fly around time. I'd go to every decade and see which women are the best, and then I'd be rich and everyone. And I'd be.
Well, it wasn't the 80s. I lived through that. They were fucking horror shows, mate.
Well,
but I'm not
but maybe not in Miami.
This is what I'm saying. I don't celebrate either cancellation, and if say someone who's like I sort of like dislike strongly came out and was relishing in this Linehan cancellation and they got cancelled, I wouldn't approve of that either. It's nothing to do with what side you're on or what the core. For me, I don't even give a fuck about the issues because it don't affect me at all.
Well, listen, let me tell you. You know how I was telling you about how the comedy industry is a bunch of fucking hypocrites. If you want to understand if you're in or you're out and how hypocritical they are, Alfie Brown does a show after Hate and Live in the smaller venue than Hate and Live, but in the caves. I've seen comedians every night queuing up to get in, right? To watch Alfie Brown. Now, if any, listen, I don't really know Alfie Brown. I quite like him. I think he's funny, but that's not the point. The point is, last month, whenever he was like,
Yeah.
in January, he was like,
A few
oh,
months
dropping
ago,
dropping the N bomb, and it was like, oh, this guy's worse, a bit of a. Now they're queuing up again during the Edinburgh Festival, going, oh, let's celebrate him. He's back in the game.
But that sort of proves my point. Why did they do that? Because he criticised Corbyn and Labour. And that's what I'm saying. If you're not prepared to lick the hate mob's boots at some and just bend to every whim, even on one issue, that's when they seem to sort of like be happy to come after you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and also some comedians like Frankie Boyle. I think you know what it is, because Frankie Boyle's he can throw a bone to all these people he has in his show, Sarah Pascoe, Sophie Duker, and all the rest of it. So they're all like, let's not get Frankie Boyle cancelled because he's going to get me on his Channel 4 show or whatever channel it goes out on. I think it's been cancelled. That New World of Man, it was so shit. But and also he sort of renounced his old ways. But he's still just changed.
Pull the ladder up behind you, that is.
Yeah. And instead of doing jokes about, Jordan's, Harvey Price,
by name,
Rebecca Adlington being ugly and stuff, instead he's just directed that sort of vitriol and that negativity towards Tories or whatever's the sort of socially acceptable group to hate.
Yeah, exactly.
So the hate is still there.
Yeah, well, I saw him on live at the Apollo or something on the TV when he goes. It was definitely on mainstream TV when he was saying he was talking about the Ministry of Defence and he pretended to answer the phone and he goes, "Good afternoon, the Department of N-word bombing." And then, and again, I don't want him to be cancelled in trouble for that. But then Alfie Brown got in trouble. Just context, they say, do you know what I mean? It's like they only take context into account when it's one of the in crowd. And I don't know how you get in the in crowd. Can I get in the in crowd, please?
So but you don't want to get in the in crowd, though.
No, of course I don't. I'm with you, you fucking pariah.
No, but I'm saying. But honestly, I've been doing Hate and Live. I've been saying what I want. The shows have been so good. People have been coming, and we've just been saying whatever. I start the show. I don't even remember. I used to do a trigger warning. I don't even do a trigger warning anymore. I don't do it because but also I wouldn't do it anyway because I feel like giving them a trigger warning is kind of even giving the warning now is kind of bending the knee a little bit and letting them. Oh, we listen. If you come to a comedy club. You come to a comedy show and you get offended, you're either willfully choosing to go to that show to get offended, so I'm ignoring you, or two, you're too stupid to understand irony and nuance and everything, so you shouldn't be in the comedy club. Some woman came up to me yesterday after the show and she was like, the show didn't have enough queer, like, it's called Bumble Me Tinders, right? It's a dating show. The show didn't have enough queer stuff in it. I said it's not called Bumble Me Grinder, it's called Bumble Me Tinders. So it could have been more queer friendly. So I just stood and looked at Betty. I went, I'm gay. And she went, what? I went, I'm gay.
You don't have to tell people that, Darius.
I know, but I told her. No, but it was so funny because then she was like, "You're gay?" Yeah, I'm gay. What should I be? Is there a way to be gay? Should I be more camp? Should I have come on dildo in my house? What was I doing wrong as a gay man? Tell me what I was. And she just stood there like going, I said, "Oh, sorry, was I not gay enough for you? It's not all. Yes, we're not all like." There.
We're not. You said we're not.
I'm gay now.
She hate crime. She hate crime. You should get her arrested. You could genuinely get her arrested in Scotland for hate crime.
I don't know if I've said this before on when I've been in the container, but I ran a show and it was like the middle act was non-binary, but like to all that appeared to be a male, you would say, and a woman came up to me.
So it was a man.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying. And this woman goes, "Did you book this?" And I went, "Yeah." And she went, "I think it's a bit weird that in 2022 you've got a lineup with just 4 straight men on it." And I went, "Oh dear." She went, "What?" I said, "The middle act's actually non-binary." And her face dropped, and I was like, "Oh, I get it. This is sweet. I can see why people do it. I can see why people go on Twitter." It was so nice to tell someone off and be perceived to be in the right. I'm so used to being the naughty schoolboy. I'm with the prefect for 5 minutes. See how the fucking grass is on this side of the fence, motherfucker. But it felt so glorious.
We've been booking all-star male lineups at Hate and Live, and then Josephine Lacey couldn't turn up one day, so she's like, booked her. So we just had another comedian called Frankie Marcos, and I just said, "That's Josephine Lacey, so he's representing the women." Then he did shit, and I went, "Look, he's committing to character as well." It was so funny. It was so funny.
The thing is, what that you said about the comedians. The worst thing is, like in general, when I've seen them having a pop in the past, that just the fact that Comedy Unleashed is a thing, and they sort of go,
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't been to one, haven't been on one, but I've seen clips online, and it just looks like a comedy club. It's not a
Yeah,
fucking.
it's just
It's not a fascist rally, is it? But that's what they make
No.
out. Oh, it's easy. You're just going to get a load of sycophants in the room that laugh at you, just saying, "Oh, I could be an attack helicopter." That old fucking hack. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't look to be that. But I haven't been.
No, it's not at all. I mean, and also it does platform people who've been cancelled. Like you get all the people that Andrew Lawrence, Alistair Williams, me.
Russ
So you
Monkey
get
Gun.
people who
Russ Monkey Gun.
yeah, it's different if you've been cancelled for fucking paedophilia and you're in jail.
Actually, unleashing a 9-year-old's cock.
Yeah,
he could probably
the
get a
left would
gig
probably
now.
be fine with that.
Yeah. But you know what the funniest thing about Comedy Unleashed is? This is the irony is if you go there, it's just like a genuinely good gig. Like it's just a
Yeah.
good gig. No, and then I remember someone went, "Oh, Leo's not going to take down the establishment," doing a joke about going on holiday in Thailand, or I can't remember the actual joke. He said something like that.
Pay his mortgage.
But the whole point is, no one in 2023 actually wants to go out and be like. I mean, if someone actually was to go out and be openly racist, and I mean, you'd be impressed. Like, wow, it's going to be openly racist. Like, no one wants to do that. You just want to go out and be able to tell your jokes that are funny and maybe a slightly edgy. But no one's going out. I'm going to be openly racist to do this. The reason Comedy Unleashed is because they don't even want you. They don't even want you to fucking be able to say that or even question even one iota the narrative. Which is why, like, when you saw Talk TV with Linehan, as soon as he mentioned something, they were, we're technical, they were cutting this guy off, and they don't
that
even let
woman.
them. Yeah, they won't even let them.
She was
They won't,
shocking, man.
That clip was so funny because, like, and also it's Talk TV. It's like Piers Morgan uncensored. It's no, Piers Morgan quite heavily censored. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Man, it was like something off the BBC.
Well, I did watch a couple of clips of Linehan last night because I'm not that. I don't follow this shit, right? And the thing is, I started having this. I can imagine that I'd like to have a conversation with someone who's like glad he's been cancelled, and just say to them, "What has he said that you're so upset with?" And they'd go, "Well, he's transphobic." No, that's not what I asked you. What has he actually said that you disagree with? Well, he's a hateful, bigoted transphobe. No. You're just repeating these sort of like labels. What has he actually? So I thought, well, I've got to go and see what he actually said. And I went and I watched him when he was on like BBC Newsnight or something on YouTube, and it was like this Scottish woman, and it was similar to that. What's her name that was trying to put words in Jordan Peterson's mouth? Is it Kathy something?
Kathy, yeah.
Yeah,
Kathy,
what you're saying is she started every sentence. Are you seriously trying to say this? And this Scottish woman started doing this with that Graham Linehan. And to be fair to him, and he looked fucking like he was tweaking, man. His legs was shaking, and he's obviously like in the sort of eye of the storm back then. But he sort of like allowed her to sort of goad him, and he's sort of like a bit of a, you know what I mean? Like he's obviously got a little bit of a combative sort of, and he was
I could see he got angry.
Yeah, he got angry. He let her get to him. But honestly, the only words in his mouth that could have been seen offensive were put there by her. That's what it seemed like to me. And and it was a bit like you earlier, Leo, when you said like, I agree with him, but it's like, why do you sort of keep putting yourself out there so much? And I was going to say, but then you're in danger of being like that little interviewer that interviewed Djokovic, and he was like, why Djokovic? And he went, well, because like my body and my personal things is more important to me than money. It was like, yeah, of course that's why, you fucking idiot. It's like stupid. Do you know what I mean?
That is
he believes in it. He's got principles. Why? He's like, would you? And the cunt thing was, he goes, are you prepared to miss out on being the greatest player ever? It's like, he already probably is. And he goes, you're not going to be the greatest player ever, and you've missed out on the French Open and all these Grand Slams because of this. Why? And he goes, because it means a lot to me. And it's like, he's completely made you like a cunt.
Talking about that, everyone's dying suddenly. Someone in Edinburgh, a comedian, died suddenly. No one's asking any questions. 42-year-old Serious.
Who?
At the Fringe.
At the Fringe. So Lydia, who used to run
Top Secret.
Not that Lydia. Another Lydia who used to help out at Laughing Horse. Just died suddenly. I don't know. Maybe she had underlying health issues. Just died suddenly. Today, Olympic swimmer, 42 years old, just died suddenly, and no one's like that. Not a little bit weird. And
Yeah. It's funny, man. Like, 'cause I've been watching this show on Netflix called Painkiller. It's about OxyContin and how it was sort of marketed by the pharmaceutical company as being this safe drug, and it got FDA approval, but then it turned out to have all these side effects and be incredibly damaging to people. And I'm like, why is this series not been taken down for medical misinformation and conspiracy theories?
Yeah,
because
no, mate.
well,
If you want to see what's true, that's like, to me now, that is a stamp of the truth when they put that fucking banner up. Like about, you know what I mean? Whenever, like, you know, when they sort of like, it was, you know, put it up
COVID
underneath a
warning or
YouTube.
something.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is, why would they bother? It must cost money to, even if it's an algorithm, to have written that. It's like, why are they so, because you can watch a fucking thing about, like, you know, I could watch one YouTube video about Islam and one about Christianity. They can't both be right, can they? One of them's misinformation. Do you know what I mean? It's like they can't both be right because they're sort of like got different opinions. But this is the other thing, going back to Unleashed, and this might sound like a bit of a tangent. I watched this thing once where they looked at like these fat people and these thin people, and they go, the fat people are always like, oh, I can't eat anything. All I've got to do is look at a penguin and I put on weight. And the thin people, then people going, oh, I eat whatever I want and I never gain weight. And they sort of like they track them. And it turns out the fat people eat fucking loads of food but don't think it's a lot. And the thin people don't eat fuck all and think it's a lot. So the fat person will be like, oh, you had 2 Big Macs on the way home before you had your roast dinner. Like, oh, yeah, that was just like a... And then the thin people, they'll be like, you don't eat nothing. They're like, what are you talking about? I had a sandwich. Like, that was all you had all day. And that sounds like a bit of a weird thing to talk about. That reminds me of the comedians that go, oh, these people at Comedy Unleashed, you can say whatever you want in the clubs anyway. It's like, maybe what you want to say ain't as out there as you think it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's stuff. The last set I did at Comedy Unleashed was about Pride Month, and now we should have a Shame Month instead. And I don't think I could have gone on stage and, like, you know, Knock 2 Bag or one of these fucking Rupert clubs and like done that stuff.
Tell them who Rupert is. They don't know.
Ah, so some fanny. I was booked on a night. Was it Knock 2 or 2 North Down or one of these fucking wanky fucking unpaid things? But my mate was running a night at this venue, and the Rupert guy who ran the fucking venue, some posh cunt who like does stuff for the BBC, heard that I was on. Instead of just cancelling me, cancels the whole fucking night. Like, sends a message out like, if you associate with Leo Kearse, you're getting cancelled. You know what I mean? And obviously,
that's what they've done here, isn't
it? Yeah, pretty much.
They just got rid of Graham. Rupert, Jesus.
Rupert Majendi.
Rupert Majendi. Fucking Wendy.
But that's the thing. So it's like, what I was more saying is, like, these comedians that would slag off Comedy Unleashed and go, you don't have to go there. You can say whatever you want in the comedy club. I say what I want. It's like, well, maybe what you want to say is that safe, edgy. Do you know what I mean? So
safe, edgy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, your metric of what is out there might. I'm not an out there dark guy. I don't think I try to do anything like that. So I'm not saying I'm one of those people. But like, if you want to go and watch, like you said earlier, Darius, there are hate speech laws that are a crime, and if you don't cross that line, to self-police it, it's like, who are you trying to get a gold star off? That's the ultimate thing, isn't it? It's like, who are you self-policing to get a promotion with who? What do you think? What are you trying to get out of it?
No, but they do get something out of it. That's the thing. So when you're using for fucking, they get things up because they're part of the club. They could, like, Mark Lamar has come out and he started shitting on it. Oh yeah, they should be cancelled. Blah blah blah. Graham Linehan. It's like Mark Lamar was on the word where he was like shitting on making women eat their own shit and stuff. And then suddenly now he's like, oh no, I'm the. It's the establishment.
That far back. I got making women cry on Buzzcocks. He was so. Where was that? He made, was it Gail? Yeah, he made her cry.
He got arrested for assault. Did he get arrested for domestic violence? And like
impersonating Mark Commode.
No, it was Mark Lamar. Definitely Mark Lamar. I've heard all kinds of stories about Mark Lamar. But and also it's nuts how these, like, so I watched one of the anti-Graham Linehan people. It's that dumpy trans one, Jen Ives. Jen Ives was. Have you seen her? She must be so gutted that Jordan Gray came along. Who's like a sort of, photogenic, cool, fun,
Who's?
trying to like
Oh
instantly
yeah.
rockets to fame, and it's like, man, imagine being a transgender comedian in 2023 and still getting nowhere. But anyway,
But you know,
she,
just quickly, one thing on that. The thing is, though, the
yeah,
difference is Jordan Gray's actually a good comedian.
yeah,
That's the thing. She's a good comedian first, then it's trans is part of it, but it's not trans then comedian.
yeah. And
I don't know
also,
the other one. I don't know the other comedian you're talking about. by
which
the way.
one, Jen Ives?
Yeah, I don't know that person.
She's like, I mean, she only came to my attention because she was like tweeting stuff about me and whatever. But
Oh,
she does. Man, she's like, you know, in with all the sort of like those gigs that pay nothing but are all like, you know, they think they're cool.
invisible dot type. Do you remember
But
that?
then yeah, all that kind of bullshit.
Oh, the
And,
invisible dot.
yeah, and so,
Invisible
like,
now.
because
You're gone.
invisible fucking paycheck. But
Oh, it's
Invisible audience.
but yeah, so she's all tweeting, being all like she's the one being victimized. Like Graham Linehan is like somehow using this to promote himself, and you know all the mainstream media just pick up on this and promote, you know, Graham Linehan. He's like, you're literally getting somebody cancelled from their job, from their, you know,
And other people
from
as well,
stage,
yeah.
and you're still thinking you're oppressed. It's like, fuck me. Like, I mean, at
Yeah.
least if you're going to be a fucking fascist, if you're going to be a
Yeah.
complete cultural Nazi, like,
I
don't
guess
be like,
that's-
oh, I'm being so oppressed here while you're fucking shooting people in the head. You know what I mean?
I guess that's my point. No crimes were no criminal sort of like hate speech was said, as far as I know. But your opinion is so important that you can just click your fingers and have someone sort of like deleted, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
like I don't know, it's fucked up, man. It really is.
Yeah, it's
fucked
just
up because it's
elevated certain people above everybody else, and we've all got to tiptoe around and worry about their feelings. So why aren't we worrying about some like bald 55-year-old guy from Essex? Like, what about his feelings?
I'm not bald. But the
No,
thing
but,
is,
you know what I mean? I
do. But the thing is, and also as
they feel so offended and misgendered and stuff. It's like, you know, what about this Paul guy? Maybe he doesn't like being called a gammon. Maybe he's worried about.
I don't like that.
his
I don't
country's
exactly.
sovereignty.
But the thing is, children aren't stupid, and children do pick up on these people that seem to have a little bit more cultural weight or power, and it probably is seductive if you're lost and you feel like, you know, you sort of like feeling that sort of like teenage angst, and you're feeling a bit. You do want to be sort of like one in this protected special class, I can imagine. Do you know what I mean? This is the thing. And as far as I know, and again, I don't know the ins and outs of things. I'm not that much of a topical dude. I don't really know what's going on, but misguided or whatever, it seems to me that he basically has tried to protect women in women's spaces and children from being, as he sees, mutilated. I'd never heard him say that these trans people shouldn't exist or live a full and happy life as they can, just not at the expense of children and women. That's what I would sum his position up as. Because I didn't know fuck all about him, apart from he used to live in Norwich, because I saw him here. And he walked in a coffee shop, and I won't say which one in case he goes there often, because I know his family is still here, and he might get like stabbed by someone in a wig. But I sort of nudged
someone being kind.
someone doing the world a favour and stabbing up father.
Tell you what was funny. Well, not funny. Interesting. The homophobic attack in Clapham. We're looking for the suspect. Any description of the suspect? No description of the suspect. Well, why are you keeping
just
that
full of hate?
Yeah, it's just like we're looking for, and it's like why? It's like and then fucking Sadiq Khan. We're gonna. This is when the LGBT, and you know what they're saying. They're like, so now it's obviously like straight white. Like, and it's never. And now a photo's come out, and lo and behold, it's not what the EFIT they would have liked to be released. It's very suspicious.
And all these things and all these talking points, and I think what we've all got in common, us three, is it's just I don't know. I don't agree with both. Like, we don't all agree with each other and everything. Obviously, it's just fucking a bit of truth. It's like when the truth is politicized, and you've got to sort of be careful. When the truth feels like thin ice, it's like it's still the truth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
like
reading about the Soviet Union, it's like everybody lived under this, had to obey this sort of carapace of lies.
Hyper normalization.
Yeah. So like, and if you know, and people would like whisper to each other, like, you know, if you trusted someone, you could you know, whisper the truth that the party wasn't that great and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, let us, and it's the same. I think this whole thing could come crashing in because like the sort of word of mouth that's going between people, like a lot of women are getting pissed off with all the trans rights, just allowing lumpy blokes into safe spaces and stuff. And I think the thing with transitioning children, man, that's storing up a big scandal for the future.
What percentage of adult gay people that are like, maybe 30, 40 now would have been, I'm not going to say coerced because I don't understand, but sort of like encouraged or at least sort of like
all of them
suggested
all
to
of
them
them.
they should be just in
All
the
of
wrong
them.
body.
Like
All of
that's
them.
homophobic then, isn't it? That's like
That's
saying,
why that's why there's no gay people in Iran, baby.
Well, they
They're all-
transition them. No, they burn
Yeah,
them. That's
Iran.
different.
No, they transition them.
They transition them into ash.
If you're they actually Iran's got like the highest transgender population, like kind of outside of the West. And basically, what happens if you come out as gay in Iran? They're like, you must be a woman.
Hang on. Yeah, that's just what you just said. They've got the highest transgender outside the West, which means they've got one. It's like that's we've got one here in Dubai.
No,
yeah.
higher than Thailand. Higher than Thailand.
Yeah, but they don't trans, do they? They just tuck, don't they? Tuck.
Do you reckon in gay couples in Iran, Darius? Do you reckon the gay couples in Iran have big arguments about which one's going to transition?
Yeah, that's quite funny. I don't know if this menu bit. Tucking though counts as being trans now. Just tucking is trans. That's a woman. If a man
you don't even need to do anything. You don't need to do anything. All you need to do is be like, yeah, I'm a woman. Look at my pronouns in my Twitter bio. I'm a woman.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. So actually, that's very transphobic, Justin, and we won't allow that. So apologise.
What did I say? No, but didn't some powerlifter in Canada just like smash everyone by 200 kgs? Did you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like when you go. I mean, 200 kg. Of a ton or something.
And also, like, came out and so it's obviously a bloke, and the bloke's just, I don't know why women are so shit at the bench. It's like,
but people don't, because it's 200. No one can fathom how much bigger that is. That's like winning the 100-meter by just
10 seconds.
Yeah. Like by the time they've started, you finished. Before they're even off the blocks, you've already finished. 200 kilograms is so much.
Yeah. But, and it's just sort of like, and this is the thing, I said that when we had Constantine on, Darius, it's, for us three to sit here and talk about it, you might say, what the fuck's got to do? It's just an abstract thing. But to the women that compete in that, it's not an abstract thing. They're victims.
But
the example I gave, go on.
What I was going to say is the thing is, the reason Leo and I are not accelerationists is there are a lot of women that are like, no, go on, let them do it. Okay, well, fuck it, let them do it. Why am I fighting this? Why am I getting angry? It's not my fight. Go on then. Yeah. Until every single sport is dominated top 3 by trans women, until every fucking thing these things come out, it's going to do it because there's a lot of women that support them, and it's not really our fight, and we can't do it. Stuff like that. So I'm like, do what you do. The only caveat I would say is that for trans people, we should be allowed to do this, and we should be allowed to be in these spaces. Is that, look, whether I agree and I think you should or you shouldn't be allowed to do it, doesn't matter. Consent is not. You can't give consent for someone else. There is a portion of women that are against it, and they don't consent to you doing in those sports. But this is a thing that women are going to have to kind of come up with amongst themselves. But the reason why it's so problematic is that they won't even allow the debate to even be just even spoken about sensibly, because the reality is, trans isn't just a one thing. There's a fucking nuance. There's fucking, what was his name, who did Hate and Live? Will Anderson in the dress. What was his name?
Oh,
you're gonna kick a woman in the curb.
Yeah.
Will
Franklin.
Yeah,
Stein.
He turned up. It was just exactly him in the dress going, "You're gonna kick a woman in the curb," or something like that, right? Smoking outside the venue, right? But then there's some trans women that are so trans that you wouldn't even know that it's not even. All of this isn't even an argument for them. Because they go about, you've got no clue, right? So to say trans is not just the whole thing, but because you can't have this debate, because I think, most women would like, someone like Finn, who's the really, whatever the hot one is, the right-wing conservative hot one, Blair White, right? If they, I'm just using it. But then you wouldn't even know if she was in the toilets. No one's gonna say anything. But if Will Franklin turns up in the dressing, the women are
I'd
like,
say
"We've
something.
got problems."
I'd be like, hey baby, what are
And
you
it's
doing in
like,
these toilets?
Well,
but
the thing
the,
is, the thing is, you've both got daughters, right? And if they
Yeah.
became, if they were, in sports, and I know it doesn't happen here, but the example I used before is, in America, if you got to come in you got to sort of like to get a scholarship to university in powerlifting, and you miss out by 200 kgs on somebody who decides on a whim. I mean, that, from what I understand, that was just that person identified as a woman on that day. It wasn't even on
Yeah.
any sort of like
what they did a
hormone.
Zuby.
No, yeah, I think
No,
so.
they do identify as a woman, like sort of full time, but I mean,
Monday to Friday.
Yeah,
they're
but what I'm
just-
saying is, was there any chemical or surgical intervention? I don't think there has been, has there?
I think there
It was
has
just
been.
I thought it was just a self. Well, anyway, so in the example, a self-identifying female means one of your daughters misses out on a life's dream, and you can put an asterisk on it and go, "Look, I know you came second in the 800 meters,
Yeah.
but really,
There-
you
there's
came
also
first, but you didn't."
There's also the safety thing. If they're playing like rugby or something like that, and they go up against a man, that you're getting injuries in women from playing these sports because there's transgender.
I used to
Transgenders
play at a
playing.
club in London that had a women's team, and one day, like, no men turned up to training, and the women were like, "Do you want to come train with us?" And I was like, "No," because like I'd seen them.
I'll
Honestly,
get a
these
boner.
particular women. No. I mean, I couldn't find anything that unathletic attractive. It was like slow motion, and it was like watching like a load of clockwork robots. They aren't built the same. It's just the reality. They got no coordination. Do you know what I mean?
You should be
These
a
ones-
commentator. You should be a commentator in the Women's World Cup.
Oh fucking yeah, I should be, mate. I should be. I mean, I'd be like, maybe I would 3-pinter. That's all I'd say. I'd just be categorised on how many pints. The goalkeeper's like, no, there's no amount of alcohol. When a big old hands make the cock
the
look
whole
even
thing.
smaller.
But you know what they say this all, but I mean, when it comes to sports, the trans argument is, oh yeah, but for sports, there's always got people who are genetic freaks. They've got genetic advantages, etc. So this is just another advantage that they've had because they've gone through male puberty, and it doesn't actually mean anything. But the actual thing, and this is the reality that no one acknowledges. So why is it, if men and women are exactly the same, and trans men and women are exactly the same, why is there not one trans man dominating any male sports? Why is it
Yeah, well,
trans?
but the thing
Why is it
is,
trans men are giving warnings when they say we don't think you should play full contact rugby with males?
But look, the difference is Usain Bolt is the greatest sprinter that the human race knows of. There might have been someone born years and years ago, but like he wins by like a second. This person's not even a fucking top powerlifter, wins by 200 kgs. Do you know what I mean? It's so ridiculously unfair and uneven. And again, this is the thing. Graham Linehan, why'd you stick your neck out? He's not a woman. I think he's got daughters, but it's like that just is not fair on the rest of the field. It isn't fair on the rest of the field. And you can say that in your ideological state, you might wish it was fair, and I wish everything was fair. And you know what? If I had a magic lamp, maybe I would say if a man wants to transition to women, he actually does become a woman. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't waste my magic lamp on that.
I wouldn't waste one either. But in reality, Leo would have one night of his life, I think. But in reality, right, you aren't. And it's not fair on the women that are competing. And I don't want to get bogged down in the weeds because it's more about the cancellation of a whole comedy night because one bloke's views, not even what he's specifically
Well,
said.
they got a new venue now, but the whole point
have
is,
they?
Yeah, they got a new venue, but
What venue?
I mean,
The
I don't
Poison
know, but
Chalice.
I don't know what they've had to keep that secret unless it's obviously some blue-haired twat has called up and was like, nah, I can't say anything. So what? Get a different. So the woman yesterday on the phone was like, well, the thing is, if theatre staff have a right to not feel unsafe, I said, go get a fucking different job.
How you fucking feel unsafe?
Yeah,
if you
ridiculous.
feel unsafe working in a theatre, go work
Yeah,
in a fucking oil rig.
Yeah,
See
that's
how much
bollocks.
safer you feel.
I said that. I
That's
said,
abs-
listen. I said, if Shakespeare did a play, should that be cancelled? It's a Shakespearean play about Macbeth. Should that be no? If you can't, it's get a fucking job. If it's don't work in the theatre, but you won't be able to find a job because you won't feel safe anywhere because the world doesn't bend to you.
Can we just say
And
this unsafe
also
bollocks?
all this trans stuff is like coming from women. It's not like, you know, us three. We're all like, oh, you know what, men should be able to put on a frock and go into women's changing rooms and play in women's sports and stuff. Man, it wasn't us. It's women, because the Achilles heel of women is that they over empathize. So they're all like, "Oh my god, I feel so empathetic for this person." So they force terrible decisions, and you know this is why some people think it was a mistake to let women have the vote, and it's been downhill since then. Like
I agree.
if you look at like what women, if you look at what women, like they're all like, "Oh, I feel so sorry for these trans people. They just want to be understood and live their authentic, true lives and stuff." And it's like, well, now you got fucking big lumpy blokes in your changing rooms, and you got like rapists in women's prisons. You know what I mean? But like, man, women, because the religion sort of disappeared from Western society, so they haven't been subjugated, and there's some essence.
This is the new religion.
Inside all women. They need some sort of religion that like like
an orthodoxy
dominates
that you can't
them.
question.
Yeah.
What?
So they brought this in that like makes them third class citizens after men and transgender people.
So what you're saying is that women yearn to be subjugated somehow, some way. They yearn.
Yeah, and if you
it's
move
in their
patriarchy,
DNA.
if you try and free them, they'll build a cage out of whatever's around them.
They yearn for it. They yearn for it. But yeah, Andrew Doyle's book that he wrote argues that this kind of ideology has all the tenets of a religion. Like you can be excommunicated, which is actually what happened to Graham Linehan. You've got to believe in something that, like, because believing in gender ID and stuff like that, it's all on faith. Like I'm a woman, and you just yeah, you are a woman, which is the same as saying Jesus turned into the communion. It's like, oh yeah, he is.
But the
It's
big
the same
problem is
thing.
in these religions, you've got a text you can refer to, but as I say, this orthodoxy's just nebulous and changing all the time.
Yeah.
And then you can find yourself an apostate like Graham Linehan has, because he was in the centre of it. Like Jermaine Greer was in the centre of it a few decades ago.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're sort of like, but the thing about that unsafe thing, that nothing winds me up more than that, because it's such a pussy bitch fucking coward bully move. Remember that little mixed race gay guy who was on that date, and he was from Pfizer, and he was going, "Oh, we're just going to develop the disease ourselves." And then that Veritas, and then he starts smashing up their iPad and going, "Call the police! I don't feel safe right now." It's like, what the fuck? You're the one who's been jumping around like a lunatic trying to smash up their equipment, and now like this, I feel unsafe. You can't just say I feel unsafe and it means something, because you can say about anything. Like, do you think the sort of like small businesses that were sort of like getting smashed up during Black Lives, do they feel safe? But that's okay to make them feel unsafe because it's fucking the right cause. Like, now and then in life you feel unsafe. Do you know what I mean? As long as you're not, do you know what I mean? But these theatre staff weren't in any sort of danger. They weren't being threatened. What they mean is there might be something going on in my vicinity that challenges my beliefs. So you feel uncomfortable. That's totally different to unsafe.
The only thing I would say though is Comedy Unleashed. I mean, I think this is going to play out well for them, and I also think, you know, people on the right. I'm really on the right, but they need to like start just being taking a firm thing, like, and a firm. Like we acquiesce to them. Like you don't even book it at a place where like if you go on their Instagram, it's like all drag queens. Like obviously they're gonna moan. So just fucking don't take it there to that venue. Actually, funny, Elsa was saying she was walking through the Pleasance. She said every other show is either queer or like noticeably. And Elsa's you know, she's fucking pretty progressive. So but she said everything is like queer, trans, drag. Queer, trans, drag, definitely like a really strong concerted push to get that. So now,
to me, I don't think that's like any sort of like overarching conspiracy. That's just performers jumping on a bandwagon, or maybe not. Sort of like, do you know what I mean?
Also,
that's just sort of that's the zeitgeist. That's what's hot at the moment.
But it's also what the gatekeepers are selecting, and also where
100%.
What the funding funds. So like a lot of these drag and trans shows and acts and stuff, they'll get Arts Council funding, and the Arts Council got
and shortlisted.
I went through. I was going to see if I could get like 15 grand to just fuck about, you know, over COVID. And so I went down. I couldn't be bothered, like, because the trouble with form filling is, man, I'd rather just not. I'd rather be poor and not fill in the form. You know what I mean? Because it's so much of a hassle.
I've never filled in a form in my life.
You You got to go down here. You got to like explain how your show will sort of elevate marginalized voices. It's like, man, if you're only funding fucking marginalized voices, they're not marginalized anymore. That's the only
No, it's
voices
not
allowed.
fringe.
They're
Not
the
the
opposite.
fringe anymore, is it? It's
Yeah,
the
marginalised would be
mainstream.
like a Brexiteer doing a show at the Edinburgh Fringe. That's a marginalised voice. Man, all
Someone
the
who
shows
just
at the
doesn't give
Fringe.
a fuck. That's what I am. Where's my voice? The person that doesn't give a fuck about anything. I literally don't give a fuck. And when you said about filling forms, it occurred to me the other day. I've never filled it. I've never done a fucking census. I've never registered to vote. I just look at it and go, that just looks really grown up, and it goes in the bin. I've never done, and no one comes after you. That's the thing about the Matrix. You just don't have to do it. Like, I'll probably get in trouble now, but I've never done anything remotely grown up. I still draw.
Yeah, but you got to do a tax return.
Oh yeah, I'll do that.
Oh,
No, no, hang on.
Oh yes, I do
Fucking
that.
Yeah, I do that.
Listen.
No, I've got an accountant that does that. He's in prison at the minute.
On that bombshell, I gotta go because I've got a show that I need to write, and it starts in
All right.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
Just play this
We could
on
do-
stage on your projector.
Yeah.
Well, then we can have a live cancellation in real time as they hear our views. Thank you for listening to episode of the Three Speech podcast. We'll probably do another few online. We now know how to do it without Mooch's help. And we'll keep it fun. We're just gonna upload this straight away. We won't even edit it. We didn't say anything
Yeah.
too bad. Which part were we slagging off Ollie? Was I recording that?
Yeah, put that
Well,
in
you
as
are
well. That
now.
was good.
Fucking
And also when you call his friend a nonce.
He is. On that note, listen, if you are in Edinburgh, come to Hayton Live, 10:45 in the Big Cave. Honestly, it's wicked. Come Thursday to Saturday, the best nights. Obviously, Monday, Tuesday, a bit rubbish. But other than that, it's been great.
fucking
I'm doing a
P.T. Barnum over here.
solo show, Charmingly Offensive, Darius Davies, 2:45 at the Waverley Bar. Come to that as well. I'll write a show by the time you
Oh,
hear this.
and you recording something up there as well?
I did a recording with
Oh,
like Simon Kane. Like they recorded at the big studio at the Big Cave. They got all the cameras and stuff, but it was just a bit like it was a bit rubbish.
well, you've sold that. Where can
Yeah.
where can people find that in the equivalent of the bargain bin on the internet?
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll edit it, come out good in the edit. Right, piss off, guys. I'll see you later on. I'm gonna upload this straight away.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.